Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the best games ever created. Around every corner of this world is endless detail and characters that suck you into an experience that has you wanting more every time you log off. And don't forget the gorgeous landscapes that make this game feel like a movie every time you travel to the next mission. Landscapes that are filled with wildlife, adding onto an already breathtaking experience. An experience that you can't help but become enthralled by as you stand over the land and take it all in. But not every corner of this game uncovers something beautiful. Some of them reveal something a lot darker. Now, before I talk about that, I spend a lot of time in these videos, so if you're going to enjoy this one, please like, subscribe, leave a hate comment, all the normal YouTube stuff. It really helps boost the video in the algorithm, and I'd appreciate it a ton.
Valentine, a cattle town full of miscreants and ruffians. The perfect place for... Sorry, there's something stuck in my throat. Valentine is the first town you find yourself in during your playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2. God damn, that's a mouthful. Now, you may spend a lot of time in this town during the day, whether it be brawling with the local population or gambling away the money you were saving up for that BBL. But behind the scenes, something a little more sinister is in motion. And if you choose to venture out of the town during the night, you might come across the first piece to a gruesome puzzle. A bright light illuminates the surrounding area, and getting closer, you find not only is the area flooded with light, but it's also painted with blood. This blood leads you to a body strung up beneath the tracks, something creepy enough on its own. But what adds to the scene is the writing beside the body. Look on my works. And this isn't even the weirdest part of this whole scene, because on the other side of the body, you find the missing head with a piece of a map inside his mouth, and opening the map reveals part of a location and yet another piece of a larger puzzle. You see, if you're anything like me and you spend your nights watching Trust Me Bro videos on repeat, you'll notice this has all the signs of a serial killer loose on the frontier. But we can't make that assumption just yet. With only one body found, we can't jump the gun and cause panic among the locals until we find more. So we call this an isolated murder and gather our clues to solve one of... Sponsored by using your turn signal before you merge. Someone almost took my ass out the other day because they didn't do that shit. Every time I come across a horror story in these types of games, I always get excited because creepy shit on the frontier is some of the most entertaining stories for me. Shout out Frontier Horror, one of my favorite genders for real. The trail was going cold, but I had one last clue to follow up on. A whisper caught my ear throughout the town of a murderer in Saint Denis that shares some similarities to the killer I'm tracking. It was a long journey. If only I had an HMS Dreadnought. This video is sponsored by World of Warships! Are you disappointed that your mom got you a PS5 for Christmas and there's no games on it? Well, you know what game is on it? World of Warships! They are giving away a ton of free stuff this holiday season, just like me at a nursing home. Please send this to my lawyer. World of Warships did a lot in their Christmas update. They even added the Nordlyshaven port where you can decorate a Christmas tree and open the advent calendar each day with different rewards. Not only that, but you can get a free tier 9 ship and 2 permanent camouflages with 2 Santa gifts containers just by logging in. They even added Santa's Ultra gift container with 3 reward slots for a higher chance at a rare ship, doubloons, and golden gift containers, more coal, elite commander XP, and economic bonuses. That's more than every gift I've ever received, and I know Santa personally. Love you, Flats. World of Warships is free to play yourself, or even team up in divisions. Better yet, World of Warships is available on console too. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to use my code at the top of the description to download World of Warships and receive a special gift from us, on the house. Thank you World of Warships for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys for supporting me. It's because of you that I can get these sponsorships and continue to make better and better content for you guys. I walked around town for a while and didn't find much, but I did stop by the paper boy selling a newspaper with an interesting headline. A 5th person slain. Pattern identified, message scrawled in blood, worries intensify of plague, similar to death years ago. Pretty much the article talks about these new bodies popping up with teeth marks, and people are speculating that it might be a vampire. It also mentions that years ago, a man named Bosco Lopez was hanged for crimes very similar to the ones we're seeing today. And now that the 5th victim has been found, police are telling people to stay inside, especially women, because they seem to be the victim more often than not of these attacks. It's weird, and it's possible this could still be my killer. The paper mentioned writing on the walls, which is very similar to the man I'm tracking. The difference, however, is the way the bodies are described. They seem to be mostly intact with only a few marks on their necks, which isn't quite like the guy I'm tracking, but hey, what are the odds of 2 serial killers being active at the same time around the same place, right? Side note, how fucked up is Miami that Dexter literally always has someone on his table? Like this dude off someone pretty much weekly in a very small vicinity. I just thought that was interesting. There is still a real possibility this could be my killer, so I commit my time to Saint Denis to find the culprit of these crimes and hopefully bring an end to this madness. Our biggest clue is that writing on the wall that was mentioned. These kills seem to share the same grasp for attention that the first murder had. Maybe if we walk around randomly, we could find a clue, but there's no real way that could work. Oh shit, would you look at that? 5 bones under the perfect star. Nosferatu with Domenico will become mortal again. Yeah, so this is like 100% a vampire, right? I'm not the only one getting that vibe. It also says Nosferatu like right fucking there. Great movie, by the way. Go watch that. I would like to go on thinking this could be the same killer we are hunting, but there's too many differences. The writing here is a lot longer and more poetic, plus the description of the bodies does not match, leading me to believe that we have yet another serial killer in what I could only describe as being slightly nicer Florida. I walked around town for a little longer where I overheard talks of savage people of the night from worried city folk, which immediately made me suspicious of where exactly this town was located. During my travels, I found 4 more writings scribbled on the wall of various locations, and they seemed to piece together a story of a vampire stuck in a cycle of lust and feeding. The key line in one of these was 6 there will be before the lust is sated, and if you remember the newspaper article, it said a 5th person slain, telling us that either the killer will strike again or there is another body yet to be found. And the way we actually find the culprit was my second favorite part of this entire mission. Connecting the locations where we found the writing reveals a pentagram, and if we look in the middle of it and go here during the nighttime, we will find the person behind these grisly murders.
So, you found me.
Yep, that's just a vampire. Not even like the cool scary kind. It's just a bat dude. I like how in this game the vampire takes design elements from the old Nosferatu, keeping him more in line with normal human anatomy with a few alterations, creating a design that perfectly fits into this world and making even a vampire believable in this game. And this reveal is my favorite part of the mission. You see, usually with these types of stories, it builds up this mystery of this creature, or in this case vampire, and by the end it reveals it was a regular dude or something, but not here. The whole mystery builds up this mythical vampire, and then yep, it's just a vampire, which I get to some people would be disappointing that there wasn't a rug pull or anything, but hey, I enjoyed it, and hell, if you really want a twist in your life, go on a date in Thailand. I bet you'll have a bunch of surprises. We confront the vampire where he rambles about his League of Legends streak, and I respond in the most civilized way I know how. Next, I had to dispose of the body, as to not reveal the secret of the underground vampire gambling ring, and being a true Florida man by trade, I used the only way I knew how. And of course, I had to be truly sure that no one would find the evidence. But on my way out of the swamp to establish an alibi, I come across a crying woman. I tried to get closer to help her, but she stabbed me and sicked her pack of rabid Wicked fans on me, and all I did was just ask if it was green. This is my favorite way a game introduces an enemy. I love when a game takes something innocent or important to the player and twists it into an enemy encounter or the enemy itself. My absolute favorite example of this was in Prey, the one from 2017, not the Incredible Predator movie. And yes, I'll make a Prey video soon, so you can stop asking. Single commenter. It was just me on an alt account. See, this lady here is actually one of 4 different random encounters you can have with the Nightfolk, and this being my first encounter with them really set the stage for this entire area of the map. You see, the Nightfolk themselves are not the dumbest people, and they like to lay traps to the player and any unsuspecting passerbys unlucky enough to be curious. And there also just so happen to be random encounters in the bayou where you do genuinely help people, the most memorable to me being the snakebite one. But now that you know there are these freaky ass Hershey hooligans throughout the swamp, you become a lot more weary of every subsequent encounter with just about anyone. I'm not kidding, while I was recording footage for a later segment, I was in the swamp just walking around when I heard a man screaming for help. Now obviously the Nightfolk don't talk, but I don't know what to trust or believe with these weirdos. Literally anything moving forward could be a trap, and I approached this dude feeling like fucking Dokes the entire time with a keen eye on his hands and an itchy trigger finger just begging for a scratch. And that's what's so beautiful about an enemy type like the Nightfolk. Not only do their encounters alone inspire fear in the player, they also infect every single encounter after you meet them, because the tactics they use are clever and very deceiving, causing the player to be cautious of not only the wildlife, but the people as well.
I'm over here stroking my...
Also, real quick, some of you might be asking why my outfit keeps changing so much. Well, to immerse myself in the true cowboy experience, I've been consuming copious amounts of alcohol to finally achieve transcendence. Side effects include, but are not limited to, explosive headaches, mild hallucinations, and an overwhelming magnetism to steering wheels. After encountering the Nightfolk for the first time, you unlock a new stranger to meet deep in the bayou. We don't know his name, but he's called the Old Cajun, and he tells you the story of the Nightfolk. Yeah, I know about the Nightfolk. I literally just talked about them. Are you even watching the fucking video? The Old Cajun tells us the Nightfolk have overtaken his house, and he needs our help to clear out the area, allowing him to sleep peacefully again. We make our way towards his house, where the entire area becomes engulfed in fog, turning it from a nice night in Florida to the sunniest day in London within seconds. The Old Cajun tells us more about the Nightfolk, even mentioning how they don't speak.
You know, I ain't never heard no Nightfolk speak. There's not been one peep out of no Nightfolk. Not that I ain't heard it, at least. Imagine not uttering a sound. Can you fathom that?
Once we arrive at this annoying fuck's house, we see it indeed is overrun with Nightfolks, and god damn could they use some lotion. Ashy ass motherfuckers. and I'm white, so me saying that means they're really fucked up. I negotiate peacefully with the terrorists, freeing the house for the old man, where he rewards us with a gold tooth and some fur. I'm not even making a joke there. That's actually what he rewards us for saving his house from these midnight snackers. I would kill him for shorting me so much, but after all this death, I grew a conscience and couldn't bring myself to add any more red to my ledger for the rest of my life. I was out of ammo. The Nightfolk are only one of the many mysteries within this bayou. They might be the most famous ones, but behind this thick layer of fog reveals even more hidden oddities. Like this cabin that seems to be completely untouched by the Nightfolk, people that usually do with these people's property what they please. The outside of the cabin seems to be broken down and disheveled, but the inside, well, the inside tells a different story. In stepping inside of the cabin, you are met with a surprising sight. The interior is incredibly well maintained and seems to still have a very active resident. And the more we find out about him, the more we see this resident as evil.
Holy shit, Resident Evil reference!
You can actually visit this cabin 3 more unique times, the last being at the end of the game. Each time you enter the cabin, you see that the painting is getting closer and closer to being completed, and the final time you enter, you see the completed painting, before you look to your left and see a mysterious figure who quickly disappears before taking the painting with him. If you're versed in the overall weird shit in the Red Dead games, you'll recognize this man very quickly as the Strange Man. Now his identity to this day is still debated, with the main theories believing him to be Satan, God, or Death. Straight up. With what I've seen, I lean more into the Death or Satan theory. He's very well dressed and well mannered, which is usually how I see Death and Satan portrayed. Satan being deceptively charming and Death just being a force of nature with infinite manners and endless class. But if I were to choose, I would say that this man is the Grim Reaper himself, and personally, my favorite side character in the entire Red Dead universe. In the first game, we can meet the Strange Man who is constantly mysterious about his true identity and even describes himself as a sort of accountant, which, reading into that a little, him being the Reaper makes a lot of sense, keeping track of the death and souls of the world. There's even times where the Strange Man hints at future deaths in the story, like his mention of this being a fine spot, which later serves as the grave sites for John, Uncle, and Abigail. He always seems to know a lot more than the player, even knowing things about John that John had forgotten, adding even more to his mystery. He has less of a big role in Red Dead 2, but his presence is still felt throughout the world, whether obviously through the cabin interaction or more subtle through the paintings of him scattered throughout the map. And adding all this up, it makes a ton of sense why this cabin seems to be completely left alone by the Nightfolk. The Nightfolk themselves look to be heavily based on voodoo traditions and even seem to try and attempt magic or rituals within the bayou. Them being the superstitious and heavy believers in the world beyond would perfectly explain why they leave the Strange Man alone. He seems to exist completely outside of our realm of observation, and the Nightfolk would easily notice this and leave him alone, fearing his wrath if they interfered with him. You know the best part about everything I just talked about? It takes place almost entirely in one section of this absolutely massive world. I can understand a lot of people's reservations about this game, especially with its very slow and ultra-realistic gameplay. Hell, I'm one of them, but holy shit, if there's one thing about this game that I just can't deny the beauty of, it's how fleshed out and interesting the world is. Going from the vampire killing in the streets of Saint Denis, then traveling to the bayou to uncover the mystery of the Nightfolk, and then encountering the stranger's cabin was one of my favorite experiences making one of these videos. I was constantly engaged the entire time and couldn't help but immerse myself in all of these mysteries. Now, I don't know if you remember, but we are still on the hunt for one more stranger, and I have a feeling we'll find another clue very soon. I was on my way to investigate another lead when I met this nice couple who invited me in for a drink. And how could I say no to such nice people? There couldn't possibly be anything wrong with them.
Before we lost our ma and pa, horrible business.
Horrible.
But we still got each other, ain't that right, honey pie?
And we still know how to have a hog killing time.
Here, that's for you.
Yeah.
Here.
What the fuck? Apparently this woman and alternate universe Dave Blunts over here are siblings. And lovers. They're like a Redditor's wet dream. We try to enjoy the meal and ignore that, but they drugged our wine, causing us to pass out, allowing them to rob us. But they made one crucial mistake.
Leaving me alive.
Yeah, somehow this isn't even top 5 weirdest things in the game. Now we have very little to go on to find this killer. From what we know, he will strike again. A display like this indicates previous experience. That, coupled with the writing on the wall, shows us that he loves the attention that these kills bring and won't be stopping at just one. I also say he because serial killers are mostly all male. Female serial killers are incredibly rare. And really hot. Now, from what I've found throughout the state, I looked at the wiki, there isn't much else to find besides the bodies. All we know is that this freak loves attention almost as much as a gimmick account on Twitter, and I have a feeling we'll be finding another body very soon. My investigation has led me to the Braithwaite Manor. Just when I thought the trail was going cold, someone told me they heard screams coming from these here woods, and that just might be the clue we need to find the second piece of this mystery. The second body is indeed in these woods, and it can be found next to a tree. But first, I want you to guess which tree it is found by. Is it A, B, or C? Yeah, it's obviously this giant freaky ass tree. I don't even know why I did that bit. It wasn't a very hard question. Finding this body is yet again very easy at night due to the bright as hell lamp the killer seems to be leaving at every scene. In walking up to this killer's stage, we find all of the same oddities as the first. The ground is absolutely covered in blood, and just like the first kill, there is a lamp illuminating the most important parts for us to find. Not only are we greeted with another body, we are given yet another message. The writing this time is different. Only one word. Behold. Now his methods don't seem to be escalating, but with this writing it seems his opinion of himself is. When you have a killer like this, something that is common is a severe god complex. Something like this is also commonly found in high-level officials or Radiant Valorant players. And here it is on full display. With how everything is laid out, it's almost as if the killer sees themselves as an artist, and these killings as their art pieces, something to be shared with the world. They like to take ownership of the area, perfectly crafting each scene to become their personal masterpiece of depravity. But something seems to be missing. The head of the deceased. Looking around a little deeper, I find it hidden behind the tree with yet again another piece of map lodged in the victim's mouth. This time, opening the map, we can make out the words, "You find," leading me to believe this is a map to another body or perhaps the killer's big final art piece. But that's yet to be revealed until we find the final piece. And little did I know, the final piece would soon be uncovered. A small train stop in the middle of nowhere, a quiet and peaceful place, the perfect place to hunt some deer, wolves, or maybe a bigger target. But lying in these woods is a man interested in a different kind of hunt, with a different kind of prey. The atmosphere here is completely different from our last two encounters with this killer. Both of the previous displays were very close to a good amount of civilization, but the stage for the last kill is almost entirely secluded. Now to me, it didn't make sense why the killer would magically change up and leave a kill in such a secluded area, but as I'll explain later, it actually makes perfect sense. Cutting through the darkness of the night, you notice that oh so fateful light. Like a lighthouse guiding a ship, but instead of guiding you to safety, it guides you to something a lot more grim. A large pale boulder sits at the center of the space, and strapped across it, arms spread, top and bottom missing, is the last victim. It's silent, still, and somehow even more disturbing than the first two, precisely because it lacks the theatrics the killer seemed so proud of before. And carved near the body, faint but deliberate, is the final message. Do you see? Said like a friendly question from an artist, the only downside being the mutilated corpse right next to it. But the most important part is the final piece of the map, once again placed inside the victim's head, perhaps as a message of taking away the voice of his victims, a reflection of him silencing them forever. With the last map in our hands, we join them together to uncover the secret of this killer. When combined, it reveals the line, "Come find me," and flipping it over reveals clues to find whatever this man means for us to find. Now, to uncover where this place is, we'll have to use our heads and focus hard. It could take days before we figure out the location of whatever the hell this is. Oh, there it is. Following the completed map takes you to a small broken down cabin just off the road. And I see that the cellar is unlocked, so I open it up and step inside. And walking in, the first thing that hits you is the smell.
Smells like a League player in here.
The first thing you are met with is this wall, which is covered in articles about other deaths and disappearances. And this is where we learn that this man didn't kill 3 people, but way more. The first one I saw was named A Murder Mystery, and it talks about how on April 9th, Blackwater police find this mutilated body with half of the head missing and multiple cuts around the limbs, pointing to the fact that it might be one of this person's first kills because of how sloppy it is, but it also shares a lot of the characteristics of the current ones. And this isn't the only article on the wall either. Taking a look at the others that are still legible tells a story. Reading all of these articles, you see the story of a killer honing his craft, getting closer and closer to what he sees as the perfect kill. The Blackwater body mentioned a second ago was covered in cuts and bruises, hinting that the killer was inexperienced and experimenting on these poor people trying to make the best work of art he could create. And what we find in game is only the most recent of his kills. Kills that we can see have been perfected due to their similarities. Now going into this, I thought this guy must have killed around maybe 10 people, because obviously someone doesn't start off with this type of kill. Usually it's more personal and it grows from there, so I put the kill count around 10, maybe 15, because he seems to have his style down. And then I looked around the basement. There are skulls everywhere, and counting them up adds to almost 40 kills. And after doing some extensive detective work, I read the wiki, His kills are estimated to be over 100, which would make him the most prolific serial killer in history because, yeah, why not? Players have also attributed the mass grave of the Blackwater Athletics Club to be his doing because of the shared limb models at that site and the basement, which, like, come on guys, we can't be connecting things like this. Doing that type of shit makes the FNAF community look like well-adjusted human beings. Pushing forward into the cellar only adds to the depravity because in the next section, not only do we find multiple human bones, but a bed as well. Meaning this absolute freak sleeps amongst all of this death, breathing it in with every dream. On the desk close to the bed is a letter to the editor. Dear Mr. Editor, I must say I am alarmed by the paucity of coverage your August journal has dedicated to the recent killings in the region. The perpetrator of these crimes is clearly a man of great intelligence, power, and no small amount of cunning. He presents a clear and present danger to all readers of your publication, and most probably to the writers of it as well. I would suggest you begin to treat him and his creations with the reverence that they deserve. God help us all. Yours, a concerned citizen. Yeah, I don't know why this guy was trying to hide behind this concerned citizen persona. This shit is obviously from the killer. The Zodiac killer was more subtle than this. Right above this note is a map of the train system, which I honestly couldn't see the connection to. Yes, 2 kills are very close to a railroad, but one of them wasn't that close at all. I mean, I can kind of see the connection if they were all close, but one of them being off the course doesn't tell much in relation to this train obsession. Unless this has like nothing to do with the kills and he's just really autistic. All that remains is the final room. I mean, hey, it couldn't possibly get much weirder than this, right?
That's just a straight up corpse surrounded by severed heads. What the fuck?
And the weirdest thing in this part of the basement, besides all the, body parts, is this camera in the corner. Meaning, not only does this motherfucker keep the skulls of his victims, sleep among the rotting corpses, collect the newspaper clippings of his previous kills, he also takes pictures of them to add to his MySpace or something. I don't fucking know. The last thing we can inspect is this knife on the table, and doing so allows the killer to sneak up behind and knock us out.
Have you come for me? Or was this all nasty surprise? Or maybe it's both. Maybe it is a nasty surprise, even though you knew I was going to be here. Which is it? You should think about that. Save yourself thinking about what's about to happen. Now, I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be nice and fun. I mean, it'll be fun for me, but it won't be nice for you.
The man we just knocked out is Edmund Lowry, possibly a reference to Eddie Lowe from GTA 4, considering the extreme similarity in their names. Eddie was another serial killer in that game, leading me to speculate that these are perhaps distant relatives connected by the blood of a killer. And that's not the only connection, but we'll cover that soon. You can actually tie up Lowry and take him to the sheriff, explaining to him that this man is behind countless disappearances and the grisly murders that have been found throughout the state. As the sheriff goes to lock up Lowry, however, he lunges at the sheriff, attempting to kill him. Now, when I played through this, I tried to tie him up to keep Edmund alive, but the sheriff just fucking shot him anyway, leading me to have a friendly argument with the sheriff about my reward. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed uncovering this mystery of the serial killer, but I can't help but feel a little disappointed. I like the overall feel of the quest itself. The eeriness and mystery surrounding it is genuinely interesting, but I'm feeling that lack of being a real detective actually uncovering this mystery. But that's really the strange part about this whole investigation. It feels like it wants to be more than it is. And from a lore perspective, I can understand it being less than its potential because Arthur isn't a detective. He's not some super smart investigator on the hunt.
It comes with the turf. You fuck young boys, Valdez.
It makes sense for there not to be that much of a process when going through this mission, and yet I couldn't help but feel a very big lack of engagement while playing. There isn't as much of a big build up to the climax. There aren't many clues left behind for the player to figure out, the only clue being pieces of a map which just directly lead to the killer's place of work. There's this incredible tension in the early discoveries. The first body is shocking, disgusting, unforgettable. The second one keeps the momentum and builds you deeper into the killer's psychology. But between that and the finale, the mystery almost drifts. Not enough clues, not enough escalation, just enough breadcrumbs to remind you it exists, but not enough to feel like the world is shifting around you because of it. And that's where our story ends. Right?
Wrong!
Because there's a connection that takes us all the way to GTA 5.
God, I hate this place.
This game contains yet another depraved lunatic, the Los Santos slasher. In GTA Online, you can find 5 clues scattered throughout the map, and scanning these clues gets the player closer and closer to uncovering yet another mystery. Every clue you wonder, how are we going to find this man? How will we piece together this killer's story? How will we take him down? He texts you. Like just straight up texts you in the middle of whatever you're doing, because why not? This immediately puts him above like every woman I've dated because he actually has the ability to text first. And after he does, he will show up to kill the player between the hours of 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. anywhere within Blaine County. When he does eventually show up, you can kill him to put an end to the Los Santos slasher, and once you do, you are gifted with the Navy revolver, a weapon covered in blood revealing weird symbols and an eerie message. You're next. But there's one thing that makes this revolver all the more interesting. Now, we don't know the slasher's real name, so this is just speculation, but inscribed on the handle of the revolver are the initials EL, Edmund Lowry. Sadly, this is all speculation, and we'll never know if these two are really connected. Or will we? Because after obtaining this revolver, you get another quest to kill 50 people, and doing so grants you $200,000. But that's not all. It also says it unlocks an exclusive weapon in Reddit Online. What is this weapon, you might ask? The exact same revolver we get in GTA Online. But this time, it's not named the Navy revolver. The revolver has a new name, Lowry's revolver, connecting this killer all the way back to the frontier. A weapon passed down for over 100 years. Also, yeah, technically speaking, Rockstar said these games don't take place in the same universe, but I don't really care because that genuinely makes no sense when you start autistically reading into all these fucking details, so I'm gonna just choose to believe whatever I want because life is more fun that way. God, I sound like a Drake fan right now. And that's pretty much where our story ends. Or is it? Yeah, it is. I really enjoyed going through these weird-ass side quests, and if you want to see me do more stuff like this, let me know in the comments. I love hearing from y'all about any ideas you got or whatever else you'd like to see. And a last little message that's kind of off script for kind of everyone who actually gives a shit about what I do. I have not been feeling great, not physically, but mentally. I mean, yeah, physically, but really mentally. I have slacked really hard doing this video. It's taken me a while to do, and that's not because of some excuse I want to make up. It's just generally I was not doing the best I could, and I don't want to keep doing that. So going forward, I'm going to try and do my best to keep it more consistent. I know I'm new, but it's not an excuse I want to have. I really care about y'all. I really like seeing the impact I have on some of you, and it makes it all the better. And I just want you to guys know that I haven't been doing the best, and I want to try to do better. And I really love y'all, and I want to thank you all for all of the support I've gotten throughout this last year. I know our goal is at 100K, year's ending, but we hit 60K. Like that doesn't happen. That's insane. I couldn't ask for a better community, and I thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. That's all I really have left to say. Besides, I love you all, and I can't wait to see you all again as soon as I get this fucking red kyber crystal in Destiny.